welcome to my channel, Sue's Clues. I'm starting my first video today. I'm going to be doing, as you probably already know from the title, an August TBR. So it is the 9th, no, today's the 8th of August. Sorry. I want to get some reading done. I'm very excited to be doing my first video, as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm talking so much and I'm not stopping. I wanted to do YouTube for a really long time, and I think that this is a great moment for me to start, and I'm excited. So without further ado. Okay, so the first book that I want to be reading this August is none other than Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I've heard really, really great things about this novel. It's basically a story of revenge where I think the main character, whose name is Zaylee, is trying to avenge her mother and restore magic to the land and trying to get it back to its former glory. And I just think that that is such an interesting story. Yeah. So like I said, it is a young adult fan. Okay, I'm back. Sorry if the angle is weird. My camera stopped recording. So yeah. Back to Children of Blood and Bone. It was released in 2018, so I thank Kalia for getting this for me for my birthday. Thank you, Kalia. I cannot wait. I think the series is going to be a trilogy. Also, Sabata here, the author of Ember in the Ashes, one of my favorite fantasies of 2017, I believe, recommended this, and I love Ember in the Ashes. I think she's a phenomenal writer, so literally anything she recommends, I will read it. The next book that I will be reading this August season is called Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I will be reading it as the full cast audiobook, which is how I've heard it's best to read it. I've had personal friends of mine who have read this book as the ebook and have not liked it. Yeah, so it's basically an oral history retelling of a 70s rock band that is centered around the character Daisy Jones. It's really hard to tell where this book is gonna go because I feel like an oral history retelling of a 70s rock band could go anywhere. I mean, it is a 70s rock band after all. It is subject to not being read this month because I'm getting it on Libby, because I am getting the audiobook, and I still have it on hold. I don't have it in my possession yet. So if something happens where it takes more than the 2 weeks they promised, I will not be able to read it maybe, or I won't have time or something, but I will read it soon. I want to read it. I think I need to read it. It is adult fiction. My friend who read it said that they're very adult concepts, so if you're not ready for adult fiction yet, don't read it. Stick to young adult or wherever you're reading. I'm sure you're doing great. I really like kind of like multi-generational or like stories that take place across many decades. I really seem to enjoy those books. So the next book that I will be reading for August is going to be Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Jomny's son. This book has been all over social media. I've seen this in my classes. I've heard about this from different booktubers. It's basically a graphic novel about an alien who comes to Earth and befriends a bunch of different animals thinking they're human, and it's basically trying to teach the reader how to be human. What being human is really kind of like an existential crisis for me right now. Who am I? That's right, nobody knows. It's also just like a graphic novel, and it's like very, yeah, it's very simple, so it'll be very nice to read in between kind of like heavier fantasy books, or like after Daisy Jones and the Six, where I'm like sick of adult content. I can just read this. I need to read this. I think it'll be fun. I got this book off of Book Outlet, which is a website where you can buy cheaper books, and I think it's a really good place to get books. I've gotten so many of my books from there. I'm not sponsored or anything, but Book Outlet, if you want to collaborate, I'm here. Okay, the next book that I will be reading is going to be none other than The Vanishing Half by Bennett, which was my June 2020 Book of the Month book. And I received this in June when It came out and I never read it. Why? I don't know. I can't seem to procrastinate. I can't seem to not procrastinate long enough to do things. But I'm trying. I really am. Also, just like, do you ever say, oh, I'm gonna read that book, and then just not read it, and then just not read it, and then just not read it, and then you're like, oh my god, I thought I already read that. That's what happened with this. This basically is a story of two twin sisters who live in a Black Southern community and run away at the age of 16. And as they grow into their adult lives, one of them finds themselves back in the same Black Southern community where she grew up with her daughter, and the other is passing as white. And so it's kind of the story of why one chooses to hide her racial identity and why one might choose to do that. And I think that it's going to be a very emotional read. I think it's going to be very eye-opening for me. I saw it and I wanted it. I needed it. I needed to read this book the moment it came out. And look at that. Look at the hype it has. Look at the hype it has. Look at what it's doing for itself. Good. I think what I have planned for my next video, or one of the next videos that I film, is a reading vlog as I'm reading this, just because I think I'll have a lot of thoughts. So I think it'll be a good idea to maybe film myself reading this, and just like how I read, vlogging my reading experiences. If you want to see that, comment down below. Let me know what you want to see. If you have any future video ideas, I think this would be a good one, making a reading vlog of this. But if you have anything else that you think I should do, or you think would be cool for my channel, let me know. I will do them. Yay. Okay. This is what I'm reading. The next book that I had planned to read in August, I already read. It's already rated on Goodreads. It is none other than The 7 Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo by Jenkins Reid. This book is amazing. I absolutely loved this book. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow. If you want to know how I liked it, if you want to know what I thought of it, what were my favorite parts, check out my Goodreads. I will link it down below. I have a very long TBR on there. If you ever want to, you know, look at it and tell me what I should read first or next. 7 Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo is a story of Evelyn and Hugo, so the late 50s, early 60s, not really early 60s, late 50s, 60s it girl Evelyn Hugo, who is an actress in Hollywood, and it tells her story of why she's had 7 husbands. And it's really interesting because it's told through the perspective of 70-year-old Evelyn, but through I think her name is Monique Grant, who is a reporter, blogger. She writes things, and she is making a memoir for Evelyn, and Evelyn is telling her life story to her in a matter of like weeks. And there are things going on with Monique, there are things going on with Evelyn for sure, both past and present. And it's such a captivating read. I'm literally getting goosebumps as I'm talking about this. Please read it. It's amazing. Jenkins Reid. Wow. Wow. Yes, I loved this. I might have to read everything she writes. Don't hold me to that. Okay, so the next one I'm really excited about. I actually got it today off of Libby. It came in. My hold was like, we're done. The book is yours. And that is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, which was published in 2019. It's the first in the Brown Sisters series. So there's Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and I believe there will be a third one coming out soon, but it's not out yet. So when that comes out, you best believe, if I like this one, I'm going to be reading it. It's basically a romantic comedy which tells the story of Chloe Brown, a woman who is tired of being boring, and she enlists her neighbor to help her experience life more than she has been up until this point. I personally, when I read the synopsis, I said, wow, Chloe Brown is me. Chloe Brown is me. I feel like I'm boring sometimes, and hopefully I will be reading that very soon. probably after the Vanishing Half. Okay, then the last and final book, not the last and final book, sorry. There's one more after this. So the penultimate book that I want to read, none other than This Is How You Lose Her by Juno Diaz. Juno. I want to say Juno. It was a 2013 release. I'm not exactly sure what it's about. The synopsis is a little confusing to me. Yeah. If for a more accurate synopsis of this book, go to Goodreads. Yeah. I misinterpreted this, I feel like, very strongly. This book is telling the story of Junior, who is surrounded by different women. It's not sure if he's a child or a whole man. I'm gonna assume he's a whole man. And talks more about relationships. I feel like it's more character driven than plot driven, which I really like in books. I wanted one Hispanic writer on my TBR for August to read books with more representation in them and books with different kinds of characters that you usually don't see. So I absolutely love the cover. I don't know what this like Tetris art is about. It's probably not even Tetris art, but I can't graphic design who. Just this heart thing, I love it. And the way that it's structured, I love it. And the way that the title, I love this title. I love the way it looks. Yes. Okay, and then the last book that I will be reading this August, or that's on my TBR. I keep saying it's going to be the last book that I'm going to read, but it's not, because technically I could probably read more books within this, so that would be nice. If I don't read all the books in here, that would be awkward. The last book that I will be reading is my August 2020 Book of the Month book, and that is The Death of Ivankoji by, I want to pronounce her name, but if I mess it up, I'm so sorry, Akwaeke Emezi. Released the 4th of August in 2020, so it's a very new book. It's a story of a Nigerian family who is dealing with the grief of losing their son and realizing that they never really knew their son. And it talks about, if I interpreted the synopsis correctly, because obviously I have problems with that, talks about his story from childhood to adulthood and a woman that he falls in love with. And like I said, I love getting to know characters from their childhood to their adulthood to their death. It hasn't arrived yet, and I don't know when it's coming, but it will be coming soon, and I will have it in my possession before I leave for college, so I will be able to read it by August. The thing is, if I get to it, yeah. So I'm actually going to start trying to read my book of the months the month that I receive them instead of 3 months later like I'm going to be doing for The Vanishing Half. I'm excited to read a book not set in the United States. I know I said that This Is How You Lost Her was the penultimate book, which implied that The Death of Ivankoji was the final book, but I was wrong. I also have planned to read Persuasion by Jane Austen, which will be my first Jane Austen book, and ironically her last, published after her death. So I'm excited to be reading this. It's a classic. I have it on audiobook. No. Oh, I have it on Apple Books. So I will be reading that very soon. I think I'm going to be reading it with my friend Talia from Talia Autumn. Please. It tells the story of I think Anne Bennett. Oh, sorry, Anne Elliot, who gets engaged to this man, and her family disapproves, so they end up getting disengaged. So they end up breaking the engagement and meet 7 years later, both single. Why did I say free? They're both not in a relationship. And so they end up, it's kind of like the story of their rekindling of their romance, but told from an old classic point of view. Not old, but a classic point of view. So Jane Austen. I'm very excited to read this. I've never read a Jane Austen book, like I said earlier, and I wanted to have a classic for my August TBR, so I'm not reading just straight contemporaries, because although I do have some historical fiction on here, I kind of don't want to stray away with the fact that, you know, the world did exist before the 1900s. Alright guys, so that's it for the August TBR. I just want to express to you guys how excited I am to be making YouTube videos and reading these books during this month. Also, as I start Zoom University. Go Zoom. So I kind of just want to give you a little bit of information about my channel. So I am a college student. So while I cannot promise that I will be uploading videos weekly or even bi-weekly or even on a regular basis, I am very excited to be making videos. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot of influx of videos throughout from here on to like September. And then if I suddenly halt and stop and start posting like once a month, it's because I have school. I want to take the opportunity this fall semester that I'm rooming with my best friend who also has a YouTube channel, Kalia Autumn. Follow her, subscribe. So I want to take the opportunity that I'm rooming with her to kind of learn a little bit more about YouTube. This is not strictly a booktube channel. I do other things. I have school, I study, I go places. So my idea was kind of to do kind of like college videos, booktube videos, daily vlogs. I wanted to do sit down talks kind of videos because I can talk for hours on end, and I think that might be interesting for y'all. So I wanted to do that. Yeah, also thank you, Kalia, for pushing me to start this YouTube channel. I definitely would not have done this if you didn't tell me to, so thank you. I hope to be posting more videos soon, and yeah, so if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you for being here. Thank you for making it to the end of my first video. If you're here and you haven't yet subscribed and liked this video, please go ahead and do that. Also leave comments down below for any ideas that you have for future videos or any nice things that you want to say to me. So that's it for this video. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye bye.